I'm Keith Spicer. This meme started in the last presentation of the Social 10, Chuck Norris of social media. But also co-hosting here today is Marty Wetherall, who's senior producer in MacGyver Production. So what this is today, this is a presentation about social media, using social media. So there's a wide range of touch points that we're utilizing today, all of which is off-the-shelf Web 2.0 websites, nothing so technical. I'm not an IT guy. A lot of this stuff is being looped into the Fallon Planning blog as we speak, and we're broadcasting live to the internet right now. Ustream, we're video casting live via Ustream, Planisphere, SlideShare. All the presentations are right now up on SlideShare, the slides you're going to be watching. The world can view. Just a note on SlideShare, for instance, the last presentation, Social 10, we're up to like almost 15,000 views of just that slide presentation. So it's sort of putting social media to effect, to great effect to actually demonstrate it, not just talk about it. And that's going to be a recurring theme throughout today. We're going to try and demonstrate a lot of the media that we're talking about. So let's talk a little bit about the first experiment that some of you already engaged with us on.
Welcome, everybody. So a couple days ago, we put up some signs around the agency that said simply text food to 99134. No other explanation than that, and that was intentional. We wanted to not dress it up, not make it colorful, not make it any more engaging than just the simple instructions. And we were curious to see who would actually do it. And if you did do it, you received a text message reply that says, free pizza and insight at Fallon Brainfood, the MOBILE10, Thursday, November 6th at noon on stage 24. Show this message for VIP seating and a special treat during the event. So it's a very simple example of a text a keyword in, get something of value. In this case, it's a little coupon in the form of a text message that allows these people to be sitting in these front row seats right here in the VIP section. And the special treat during the event is something that Deborah Zavitka is going to hand out now to people. If you have one of these text messages on your phone, show Deborah and you can get one of these treats. We've got just enough for everybody that texted in. So, but I'm curious, the people that didn't do it, that saw it, was there any reason why you didn't do it? Or the people that did do it, were you happy to see what you got? Was there any sort of feedback on? Yes, Megan?
I noticed from a few people there was concern about whether or not we'd get spam back.
Okay.
Stuff like that, when you see those kinds of messages.
Concern about getting spam. So, in fact, if you do that, you get one message back. But the intent was to give you something of value in doing that. So, and I think that's the code that we should all try to live up to in this sort of situation. But hopefully these people are happy with their seats and they're happy with their treats. So the next opportunity that you all have to participate like this is this chance to win some Apple gift cards. We have a $50 gift card and two $25 Apple gift cards right here. And all you have to do is answer this question correctly to be eligible to win a gift card. So, which of these technologies has the most users globally? A TV, television, PC, or the mobile phone technology? So, if you think you know the answer, you can text the number of your answer to 70734, and you'll be entered into, if you get it right, a chance to win the Apple gift cards. And we will announce it via text message at the end of the presentation. So again, slightly different than just simply text a word in. This is a chance for you to prove that you know something, and a little bit bigger deal of a prize. Just another example of what a text to win promotion could look like.
So one other explanation too, we're live streaming via mobile camera on a website called Quick, and you'll see that carouseling throughout the day also. So let's get started. 2008 officially marked the mainstreaming of mobile web, mobile media in many ways. There's 10 trends that we think you should know about. We're not going to talk about all of them today in this lunch, except sort of a cursory review here. The 10, critical mass, get smart, everywhere, mobile shopping, life logging and live streaming, iPhone economy, Android attacks, mobile search, cloud computing, and new metrics. There's about 3 of them that we want to talk about here in this 40 minutes or so of lunch. There's a longer presentation where we can talk about this at any time, so feel free to connect with us on an individual basis to get deeper into some of these trends. What we're going to talk about here, simply said, the mobile web is no longer fringe, it's no longer future technology. We're not talking about Mr. Spock in the future. We're talking about right now. You're on the web via mobile phone. Mobile life is untethering information to go with us in real time, anywhere and everywhere. Mobile life is a whole new paradigm, and this isn't just about TV small-anized or your PC small-anized. It's a whole nother medium in the way that TV was a whole nother medium from, from radio. And lastly, there's creative opportunities here that are yet to be discovered, and they're boundless. So a quick question, who in this room doesn't have a cell phone? Just quickly. No hands? Do you know anyone over the age of 18 that doesn't have a cell phone? So 5 hands, which I think speaks a lot to the ubiquity of mobile. If you recall, just a quick analogy we want to make, the old computer interfaces, 1980s, 1990s, there used to be a flood of different platforms, COBOL, Fortran, BASIC. There were too many different brands. No one application, no one website even looked the same across every computer. And what happened, a couple innovators came along, Apple, then Windows, and they changed everything. And not to say that every computer became an Apple, but there's some commonalities to the Apple interface that became adopted by everyone, and it gave some cohesion to the medium, and it made the medium now officially a mass medium. So when you make a game, when you make a platform, when you make an application, you're pretty much assured that it's going to work across, a mass amount of computer units. So the same thing is happening and replaying itself today. In many ways, still the wild, wild west as far as mobile media is concerned, as far as standards and compatibility. So you got about 100 different phones at this point, minimum. Certainly if you count them on this slide across the major carriers. You've got about 20 different browsers. So again, this is like the 1980s and 1990s. Too many browsers, no one thing looks the same. So if you launch a mobile site or any kind of engagement, it doesn't look the same across your phone, my phone, and his phone. And again, expect Apple, in many ways has changed everything. Not to say, just like with PCs, that everyone's going to have an iPhone in their pocket, but in many ways, iPhone has set a new standard in terms of how you will interface with the information, a touch screen, small, rich media graphics, 3G speeds, and now everyone's starting to mimic that basic interface. So expect BlackBerry Thunder, expect Google Android, and then expect all the other guys to at least sort of come together on this unifying interface. So mobile is as different from the internet as TV is from radio. Mobile does everything the previous media can do, but including interactivity and search of the internet. So we're talking personal mass media, always on media, location aware with built-in payment channels, activation tool that's ever present for you at the point of creative impulse. And we're going to go through some examples of some of these, and it's the most accurate audience info. So what we're seeing now is this movement from a desktop mentality where you go to a desk or go to a certain place to do work, to do computing, to do search, to an anywhere mentality. Wherever you are, you can find the price of a product. Wherever you are, you can engage with advertising or some other sort of branded experience. And so it's untethered us to the fixed space experience of PCs. Mobile life, this isn't a trend, by most definitions. This is a fundamental shift in how we're behaving. And it's not going to go backwards, and it's here to stay. So meet your next computer, TV, radio, camera, map, social network, maybe even your coffee maker. And that's not actually a joke, because we'll explain how that works too. What are some actionable opportunities here for leveraging mobile media for our brands?
Let's just set the playing field for a bit. We asked you guys earlier how many people knew anybody that doesn't have a phone, and we saw a few hands go up. But basically there was a major threshold passed earlier this year. They're now saying there are 3.3 billion active cell phones in the world, and that compares with 6.6 billion people in the world. So we're literally one phone for every 2 people on Earth. That's the fastest diffusion of any technology ever in human history, faster than the polio vaccine. So we're talking about something that is everywhere. It's achieved critical mass now. There are 3.3 billion mobile phones. There's only 1.5 billion TVs, fewer computers, far fewer Game Boys, iPods, etc. So there are more mobile phones than televisions and computers combined. In fact, globally, there is a huge proportion of people that have never owned a PC. Their first exposure to the internet has actually been on their phone, because phones are cheaper and easier to get. And that's an enormous story, because the web to them is not sitting with your mouse and navigating big, beautiful flash websites. It's what you're connecting to on that smaller screen. But even here in the US, we're saying that the mobile phone penetration is 84%, according to these statistics. That's more, there's more people with mobile phones than there are with internet connections and broadband users. So again, it's, we've been spending a lot of time in advertising talking about online advertising. There are more phones out there, and so you're talking mobile web, but also text message promotions, photo message promotions, some of the things we've been demonstrating. And then for our youth, they don't know the difference. They're not going to be aware of the difference between the old way of being on the web and the new way of being on the web. Those devices are going to be their primary access point. They've never really been worried about being confined to a desktop space. And I think it's important to realize that we've talked, I think in media you talk a lot about day parts and when people are aware and how you reach them at different times of the day. But we have our phones all day. And so anything that can be done on the phone is something that breaks that day part model completely. And now people are reachable at all times if you know how to reach them. And of course the phones aren't just for talking anymore. Here's some statistics from May of this year. All of these are growing, of course, but in the US, just shy of 60% people have sent and received text messages. So again, we were curious when we put the text the keyword thing out there, how many people were going to be, savvy to what that exactly means, text a keyword in. 49% have taken photos with their phone. On down the line, downloading ringtones, taking videos, downloading music. Accessing the internet on this slide is at 19%. So that's not huge yet, but part of that has to do with what Aki was talking about before, all the difficulties, all the sort of the hurdles when you're on your consumer phone to get through all the portals to the internet. But we're sitting at 40 million users of the mobile internet in the US. So that is officially mainstream media. And it's been going up, as you can see, from July of '06 to May of this year is the date of this slide. 9 of 10 college students own a mobile device, 63% of professionals using text message, etc. And what people are doing on the mobile web is very reflective of what people do in their everyday lives. They're looking at maps, they're checking weather, they're doing things that we all do. We all can look at ourselves to see what we find useful on mobile phones. There's nothing new and strange necessarily that's happening. It's the same things that we all would do given that sort of connectivity if we had it. And these are projections for where advertising spending is going, up and up and up. Again, if you begin to realize it's an always-on media, that the potential for it is as different from web advertising as TV advertising was from radio. And again, all the reasons, it's always on you, it can actually know where you are, all that potential. If you think about that potential and think about the creative capacity for that, these numbers are going to go up and up and up, but we need to be careful. Just like people are on do not call lists, You know, all the people that texted in food to that short code, we have your phone number. Okay, so that could be another reason why people would be concerned to text something in. We do have your phone number. Now, we're not going to use that information. We're not going to sell it. But I think for advertisers, it's important to know that people texted in because they're curious what that food thing might be, and this was the reward that these people got. It doesn't mean you can text them again and again. It doesn't mean you can call them up and spam them. These are best practices, and so far, there hasn't been any huge transgressions, but we have to be aware of privacy. We have to be aware of respecting the consumers, but you can still come up with some creative solutions to things, even if you don't go that extra step, which might be tempting. So 40 million users. The mobile web has achieved critical mass. It's all day, always media, and it's me media, so let's be careful on that personal space, what we do once we have that sort of access.
So I'm going to talk about another trend, and actually it's probably trickled through the halls on a project not too long ago. But this quote here from an author, Adam Greenfield, "And everywhere," intentionally misspelled, all the information we now look to our phones or web browsers to provide becomes accessible from just about anywhere at any time and is delivered in a manner appropriate to our location and context. That's from a book called Everywhere, The Dawning Age of Ubiquitous Computing. And he talks a lot about this notion of ubiquitous computing. And if we're just barely wrapping our head around the fact that this little pocket device does all of this stuff, everywhere is a little bit broader idea to wrap your head around, which is everything is now computing. Your walls are computing, your shoes are computing, your umbrella's telling you whether to grab it now because it's gonna rain. Your clothes are telling you things about what you're doing. Nike Plus, you know, is telling you how far you jogged, and not only that, it's telling you how well your boy is doing at the, you know, across the country. So the home is increasingly becoming a central media hub. The iPod refrigerator was launched just a couple months ago, in fact. And you probably can look around your home now and realize more and more things are active and live and collecting data. For 99 bucks, you can go to Target and get an actual live cam for your dog. And you can loop that image into your mobile phone to see what your dog's doing, see what the babysitter's doing, see what your daughter's doing. I'm not judging, but you know, this is now real active and live. And again, back to that point that this isn't Star Trek. Your car is increasingly, you know, able and advertising itself as a personal media hub. This is Microsoft Sync. You've probably seen the spots, but you probably get where Microsoft's vision of the future is. It's not about little active boxes on your desk. It's about activating the world and being the central hub of all of that data and activity. In face of everywhere, content and networks are untethering to meet what, you know, I'm calling the anywhere consumer. So anywhere from, you know, the Amazon Kindle, which is bringing newspaper wherever you want and getting rid of the actual tactile stuff, the printed matter. Chumby, a couple of us talked about that. Come by my desk, you can see Chumby, but you can route all of your widgets, all of your social media content into a alarm clock size device and get it off the computer. To your Blackberries, you're now putting Facebook, you're now putting all of your stuff through these devices. So the impact of everywhere on advertising, for instance. We have a department calling itself interactive. Well, I think pretty soon we're all going to be in the interactive business because the billboards are calculating our live nodes on the internet. This is an example from Mini Cooper. Mini Cooper outfitted some of their owners with a key fob that's active and live, and when they drive by this outdoor media, it recognizes them. So what Mini Cooper's doing is, A, two-way communications in a way, crude, I mean, it's the beginning stages, but it's enabling and broadcasting the shared values and making a premium experience for those who engage, who opt in. You know, I'm now being recognized. Imagine if you could do this at the game. Imagine if you could do this at the pet store and my dog has an active live collar and he gets a different kind of treatment than your dog. You know, imagine if I could live this way at the hotel, the opportunities are boundless. Any media can invite mass interaction and participation. This is an example from H&M. Currently, they're putting semicodes on advertising. So whether it's the print magazine ads, you scan it with your phone, and it will give you info. Outdoor media, same thing. You hold up your camera and it'll get you info. You can even buy that product if you want to. And again, these are all just the beginnings of it. Nike Plus. We use this in every deck now, but they're using technology to enable both the real world and digital competition amongst a community of runners. So the value they're adding is getting us all united and making all of this stuff like the shoes active and live on the web. Best Buy, providing utility through iPhone app sponsorship. They recently, Pandora, just to back up a sec, if you're not familiar with, is internet radio. Millions of subscribers and users. Interestingly enough, what Best Buy decided to do was add value to that experience by helping and sponsoring the mobile app for Pandora. And interestingly enough, I think this is a brilliant tactic in, Best Buy is saying, we're not necessarily going to get in the business of making the mobile interaction. We're just going to add value to the ones that already have groundswell, that already have, all of the things working, and let's just add our piece to it. And so there's a halo effect for Best Buy and being able to serve up that, that mobile interface. American Idol, we're all familiar with in terms of, again, crude. 97.5 million SMS votes at last count. Now that's a little bit skewed because that's probably a small number, or it's a large number, but it's a number that's replicating their votes. So it may or may not necessarily be all 97 million people doing that. I think the recent Obama engagements with SMS texting is in fact a little bit more accurate. He holds the record now at 2.9 million uniques. And when the announcement recently of who would be the vice president, 2.9 million unique individuals opted in to get that text update. So at the moment, Obama 08 sort of holds the title on the largest use of this technology and medium. fanchatter.com specializes in user-generated update. What they do is at games, firstly, Fanchatter is a social network about sports. But how they bring that experience into the stadium, into the live game experience, similar to what you guys will be prompted to do in a sec. You're given a text number, upload your photo, and your photo's put live on the Jumbotron. So it's a collective communal experience at this live event. Imagine if you could do that with your TV shows. Everyone who's watching Heroes right now, text your picture, and there's a big photo gallery. Marty wants to do a little bit of explaining on that one.
So yet another interactive portion of this presentation, but anyone out there watching at home or here at the agency, if you take a picture of yourself watching this presentation, or it could be any picture that's on your phone actually, but if you send it to Fallon at fanchatter.com, we're compiling a gallery, a real-time gallery. It's the exact same way it works at the ballpark. And we'll switch to that gallery at the end of the presentation. And you should know that you don't need a smartphone to send pictures to an email address. Not everybody's done it, but if you have a camera on your phone, I've not seen one yet that can't send to an email address. You just have to make sure you can switch over to typing in letters instead of numbers for the recipient. And also, all the pictures will appear on this microsite, fallon.fanchatter.com. So at the end of the presentation, you can go and check out all the pictures. You can actually click on each picture, get a full-size view. You can share it with your friends. So what this feature becomes is, instead of the old fan cam, the video camera catching you unaware, candid camera, now the people are choosing what they want to put on the screen. They're getting a text message reply, which you'll get if you send something in thanking you. That can be branded, of course. You have a microsite that can be branded. You even have an email sharing function that can be branded. So at least 4 brandable platforms coming out of something that seems as simple as just seeing yourself on the scoreboard.
So the implications of everywhere on us as advertisers on the network, the center is now everywhere. Marketing strategy technically should always be doing this now, but You know, we're now going to have to devise a brand narrative that's amplified and cohesive across all of this media. What do you do now that the wall is talking and that your shoe is talking? I think what that now does, that's a huge paradigm shift for us as advertisers to get out of the solely messaging business. Because I got a pair of Nikes, guess what? I don't need you to message me that you're better than Reeboks. So what is your broader gesture that you want to say about the brand now that all of this other media is active and live, and you're there? What do you want to say now? And the brand's combination of gestures across all of this media is going to accrete value or meaning, you know, and again, it gets us out of the solely what is our headline business to what is the bigger message that we want to say about our brand across everything, whether it's the walls, the stadium, the shoes, the hat, the car, the billboards, and the traditional TV stuff. So mobile shopping, I'll keep going on this one. A lot of this stuff might seem a little bit fancy, and again, I'm trying to give as many examples that are concrete and real and accessible. We have dozens more, but we tried to chop it down to keep it sort of accessible here in this short amount of time. I'm on page 50, by the way, for those in the interweb nets who just asked that they're a little bit lost. So approximately 300 billion paper coupons are printed every year, and only about 5% of those are ever redeemed. I think this is a huge opportunity for mobile couponing. I understand anecdotally, I'm trying to get the specific clarity on that, but I understand anecdotally that McDonald's in Japan has completely gone to mobile couponing. They're skipping the print altogether. What does that do? It's cost effective, less waste. Promote the code in location, in context. Again, just like you've gotten these exclusive, you know, coupons to sit in here, imagine if you could do that, you know, at any brand experience or at the shelf. Meets digital natives where they live. We talked before, as your youth are growing up, this is how they live. They're not going to the Sunday paper anymore. We know that stat already. And they're definitely not clipping out a coupon, and they're certainly not remembering it to take it to the store. So this is the future opportunity here. A couple examples here. GameStop, 30% off if you redeem it at the store. Powerful mobile access is reframing the experience of shopping altogether. A couple of things I want to show here, and I won't get too detailed in it, but Sony, other brands are going full force into enabling your phone to get more data. Walmart, for instance, there's rumors that they're going to mandate all of their vendors to start putting RFID codes in all of the packaging. Why does Walmart want to do that? Well, again, an RFID tag tells them where every Nintendo Wii is in the building. So they don't have to go to the shelf to count. They can look on the computer and say there's 6 Nintendo Wiis in the building. Can I go get you one? So this, I think, is a big opportunity for us. If our clients are increasingly being mandated to put these kinds of semicodes, RFID tags in their packages, what can we do with that stuff? It's live, it's active. What are some ideas around that? Last one I want to talk about here, price noia. This is big in Asia. Everybody's experienced this. You're at Best Buy. You're debating if this is a good price for this Wii or not. And you're always wondering, you're always sort of hesitant to buy because you think it might be cheaper at Amazon. You think it might be cheaper across the street at, you know, GameStop. Well, Price Noia is a software app for your mobile phone that tells you that data right now. And so what do we do as retailers and what do we do as brands when people have all of this data at all times? Amazon, they've enabled SMS text shopping for this anywhere consumer. Simply what you do is you opt in at the beginning, and it works perfectly for products that are clear, like an iPod, you know, if you know the exact title of the book. But I think even if the book isn't quite right, I think it gives you a range of choices, and you can say, oh, I meant number 4, not the other ones. And you buy it right then and there. You get a call back from the operator to make sure that your daughter isn't just, you know, yanking around and ordering up, you know, Nintendo Wiis on your account, and then you confirm it and it gets going. So again, imagine what Best Buys and all, you know, retailers have to do in face of this new option in retailing. I can see the prices, I can order it somewhere else and not even go anywhere. this is a bit of a head game, but I just want to go through it because I think it's important. It's a scenario of the future in face of all of this everywhere and mobile shopping. We all know the retail store experience. What happened not too long ago was the interweb nets got in the way. In many ways, we didn't quite conquer that, but we at least sort of made peace with it, certainly as retailers are concerned. Google, Amazon, search, social web came along, and now people got in the way of those purchase decisions and that whole process. Now what comes along to the party is mobile and on-the-go shopping, whether it's couponing, recommendations, location-aware mapping and instructions. And then what you've got is a live home hub. Increasingly, and this is an example from ShopRite. ShopRite's not a particularly edgy retailer by any means compared to, say, an Apple, for instance, but they're doing an experiment now called From Home, and people who are members of the club can get this device, and the device is at home, and as you pull out the milk, you can scan it, and it keeps a list. Now, the next stage from that is getting rid of the list, and ShopRite would know from your refrigerator, that's an iPod connected refrigerator in the near future, and it's going to know you need eggs. I don't need to talk, I don't need a list, and it's going to know as I'm getting off work that I can just call up and say, you know what I need, I'm pulling in, I'm not getting out of the car, throw it in the back, and let's do this. So all of this stuff changes the traditional processes that we're all used to. And, we now have to think, what's our role in these new processes? So the implications for mobile shopping. Mobile unlocks new layers of information about products anywhere. Mobile unlocks new paths to purchase, and all hell breaks loose again. And we don't have all those answers, but we got to start thinking about it. So that's a little bit of a snapshot. What we covered during this Brainfood lunch, some takeaways about all 10, even though we didn't go through all 10. Critical mass, 40 million people on the mobile web. We officially have a market. Get smart. Smartphones are ruling. Everywhere, everything computes. Mobile shopping, mobile unlocks new paths to purchase. Life logging, always on culture is going to soon demand always on brand ideas. iPhone economy, resistance is futile. And that's a whole deck in and of itself, just the power that iPhone is now welding on everyone. Android attacks, Google Android, the big idea is that it's not a device, it's a platform. And in many ways, what they're trying to do is free up the mobile space the way the web has been freed up. Mobile search. The difference between mobile search, back to that point of this is a fundamentally different media and experience altogether that you have to wrap your head around. It's not a suite of answers, it's the right answer. When you're in downtown Miami and you say, because you now have voice search, by the way, from Yahoo and Google, when you say California Pizza Kitchen, mobile search has to now recognize and be smart enough to know that you don't mean I want to go to the corporate site of California Pizza Kitchen. I want to know where a California Pizza Kitchen is near me right now. And the typical search approach is you get a suite of answers. Maybe you want to check out this, maybe you want to check out that, but that's not what you want in a mobile context. So it calls for a whole new frame of mind. It's not just the internet made small or TV made small. Cloud computing. Web is your server now, and in many ways, cloud computing is what's enabling all of this. The actual information isn't on our devices anymore, and that's what the Google Android pretends for us is, all of that data isn't on the device, it's out in the cloud, and the device gets the information, and then any device can get the information. And then lastly, this issue of new metrics, as all of this stuff, now that the walls talk, now that our shoes talk, how the hell do we measure brand engagement and effect and awareness and all the other things? And we have to start sort of almost inventing some new measures. A quick word from our sponsors. Yes, we do have sponsors. On the Go Mobile and Media, they have powered a lot of the text experiences that you're been using today. And we're going to talk a little bit about the winners from that. Fan Chatter Stadium, go to stadium.fanchatter.com. No wwws, just stadium.fanchatter.com. And I'm going to show you the link in a little bit too on the gallery of the photos. Hopefully we got a lot of photos. You want to talk a little bit about this one?
Sure. by the way, just really quickly, no pun, our quick experience is 12 minutes delayed right now. So here we are in 2008. We have this mini TV van right here in our phone, but it can't quite keep up. But it's interesting to see that now. We'll see how quickly it can actually be a streaming television studio in the palm of your hand. So we gave away the answer midway through. The answer is mobile phone has more users globally than any of those other technologies, TV or PC. This is the message you got if you were correct. You are now eligible to win an Apple gift card. Winners will be notified by text message. Want to see a good mobile site? Check out m.weather.com. So we didn't get into mobile sites in this presentation, but this is an example of how one of these text message replies can have a link in it. And if you have a phone with a mobile browser, all you have to do is click that link, and now you're on the web wherever that text message wanted you to go. So again, think about what a call to action could be out in the world, whether it's seeing yourself on the scoreboard or the opportunity to have a coupon in the store. If you can come up with something that would convince you or would convince your target to actually grab their phone and text something in, you can send them a link, and now you can have them on your mobile browser, on your mobile site experience with simply including a link in that text message. So another interesting thing to compare is how different m.weather.com is from weather.com. Vast differences when you're building a site for a normal laptop or desktop computer versus the mobile experience. What do you want to know when you're on your phone? What's the weather going to be like now and a little bit later? And they make that happen for you very easily without all the graphics and the maps and everything you see on the normal website. So take a second to check that out. Now, we should have released a few minutes ago the text messages that said who won the gift cards. Did anybody get a text message saying they won? Oh, you're kidding. Well, you texted this thing earlier with your phone? Yeah. Okay. We were trying to weight it toward people here. I'm admitting that to the people on the internet. So maybe there's people on the internet that are very excited that, and the reply said that if you're not here to redeem it from a key in person, you're supposed to email him with your phone number, and that'll verify that you're the winners. But if anyone gets that message, let us know.
And my email address is aki.spicer@fallon.com. And I can tell if you're lying.
So we can switch to the slideshow, actually, if Courtney could switch to our live slideshow. So this is literally just a randomizer. All the pictures that came in that were approved, we're not going to let everything just through, but everything that was approved is now just going to cycle through here. And every once in a while we mix in the reminder of the address. So imagine this just kind of going on at an event or again at a ball game or on television. You could air one spot earlier in a broadcast and then air another spot later with all the people where they're watching it. So we can enjoy that and let that run. I think now's the time for any questions anybody has.
And really, I wouldn't mind if, it was important for us to sort of show you this media. And I'd like some thoughts just on, already we had some feedback of, some of the stuff we did execution-wise wasn't creative, which was intended. We didn't want to get into a creative decision. We just wanted to sort of show you how it works. But, I think it's now on you to think about what are the creative ways we can use this type of media. What's a way that you can use this with our brands right now? I really want you to internalize it and think about our literal list of clients. What are some opportunities here that we should talk further about, whether now or in the near future, and what are some opportunities that we should just dig deeper into and know more about, you and us. Any thoughts on that?
To a client by an agency, or are these things that clients are doing internally? Are they getting done by specific interactive agencies or mobile agencies? I think it'd be useful for us to get a context of what we have legitimacy to sell and create here versus what we have the capacity to ideate versus what we have the capacity to produce.
It's a slight answer to that, and I think that just to repeat the question, who's qualified to really bring these kinds of ideas to the table for clients? Us as agencies, or are there mobile agencies? The answer to all of those is yes, yes, and yes. I think we can and should bring these kinds of ideas. Doesn't necessarily mean we have to get into the mobile business. There are partners, you know, there are agencies, of course, you know, many of which are sponsors or sort of, you know, collaborators in many ways, just like with the web. There's people that you can work with, and it doesn't mean that we have to become a digital agency per se or a mobile agency. But I do think as stewards of the brand, you know, these are opportunities for us to bring these kinds of ideas to the table. And there's partners within our own network and beyond that can make these happen for us. You have any thoughts on that?
I think that's right. I think the idea is the key, and then you just find the right people to produce it and pull it off. And some people are stronger in the tech space. Some people are already getting into specializing in mobile sites. Obviously, there's a huge mobile application market with creating iPhone apps, Android apps now, even BlackBerry widgets that live on your BlackBerry screen. They all act in the same way. One interesting thing, just anecdotally, about the new Android apps that are coming out. The Android phone just came out. Again, it's an operating system that Google created, so there's going to be different phones from different cell providers. It's T-Mobile right now, but interestingly, I think the number's at about 10% of iPhone apps that are location aware, meaning they tie into the GPS that's on the iPhone and actually helps you, you know, that's part of what the application offers. A good example of that is a social network called Brightkite. Imagine a social network that not only does all the things that we do on Facebook, but also knows where your closest friends are if you want to know that. Lets you tell people where you are at any time so that your friends can be notified and they can find you. Imagine just taking that social networking thing and making it mobile. So about 10% of iPhone apps are location aware. I think it's about 75 or 80% of Android apps are location aware. So I think it's just the beginning of the evolution of what can these apps be. And imagine if a brand were to create an app that had a strong level of utility, and it could know via GPS where the customers are when you're near a retail location, when you're near a customer service representative for whatever reason. That seems to be where that's trending. A little bit of a tangent, but.
So I got a question here on the interweb nets. What's the best Fallon example of using this technology for a client?
We did do one thing with Bravo for a TV show that they had on the air about a year ago called Make Me a Supermodel. We had an interactive video window at the NBC Experience store in Manhattan, and part of that window invited you to call into an 800 number and type the number of the model that you wanted to see walk. There was a display of 12 models all standing there with numbers over their heads, and you could type the number of which one you wanted to see walk the catwalk, and they would do that. Of course, when you called into that number, as soon as you hung up, you got a reply message back from Bravo inviting you to opt in to the Make Me a Supermodel mobile alerts. So things like TV shows or sports teams, those are things that fans would want alerts about as long as those alerts were interesting. And so easy instructions to opt in for alerts like that can be in the reply message, and we did that. And a few people opted in. Bravo does a lot of that on air, asking people to text in, and they try to recruit those people for mobile alerts, simply to remind them when the show is on, to remind them when the finale is coming up. Useful things if you're a fan of that show. That other question, I don't know if you wanted to add.
As far as increasing text message pricing for third-party services, how will this affect mobile marketing adoption by agencies? Unknown. I don't know. I do think as far as everything you've just experienced, it costs. It costs whatever the normal rates apply to do this stuff, which is also why I think it's on the brand to add some sort of value for that expense. There's an expense, there's a cost in my time, there's a cost in the 10 cents per text message. So it's the bar is set high for us to add value. so people can engage with us in that way. I think that's the other thing to note too about this whole new medium is people aren't necessarily sitting around just waiting to invite our brands into their lives that much more personally. We already know from TiVo and TV, they're already putting up barriers. We already know from the web, they're already putting up barriers with spam. So the bar is now high for us. You know, what value will we add to help people feel like they want to invite us along with them on the ride? Any other questions or thoughts? Well, enjoy the pizza if you want to come up and ask any questions. Or just a last note on this. This is, again, just a part of a bigger presentation, and we do these all the time. We do them for our clients. If you think this is something you wanted to roll out for your clients, we can get together and sculpt a presentation that helps them with their specific needs and objectives and strategy. Thanks to InterWebNets also, and everybody who attended.